For a long time there was me and my body. Me was composed of story, of craving, of striving, of desire of the future. Me was trying not to be an outcome of my feeling past, but the separation that had already occurred between me and my body was pretty significant outcome. Me was always trying to become something, somebody. Me only exists in the trying. My body was often in the way, trying and trying to be better person. Human. We all are human. We are believed to be the smartest creature on earth. We have our own special way of communicating and acting around others. In fact, every single day we talk, act, and behave to that our word and action meet the primitive expectation of society. I like to think of my entire body as a coffee machine. My heart, the multicolored coffee bean before they are grown. My mind, the filter, and my word and action as the coffee. And what happened to coffee beans before you put them into machine? All of them are multicolored and special in their own way. But after they are grown up and blend together, the uniqueness with each bean is obscured. Until they have traveled through the filter, all people can see is just a plain coffee that they wanted. Nobody will ever see the rainbow colored bean in the darkest brown liquid. Just like nobody can see your initial thought and decision that are at conflict with your word and action. All that people can see and test is the generic finished product. Maybe you are afraid that if you do not filter your original idea and intention, others will reject or dislike you. Perhaps they will see your ideas and decisions as too strong or too bitter. So you instinctively feel the need to change or to filter your coffee bean. People would be surprised if they saw my original coffee bean. They would be shocked when they found out the real person I am. When I was in fourth grade, I transferred to a new school. It was my fifth week there when when I saw a kid being bullied on the playground. I was playing on the swing when I heard screeching and screaming noise from the other far end. I asked the girl beside me what it was all about. She was like, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's just the sixth grade teaching the new kid in art grade of listen." She said it as if evening was so natural. She tends to make the whisper in my ear. Don't tell anyone that I told you this, but he has the plague. I was confused, so I asked her what kind of plague he had, and she told me it's the nano plague. She then explained that it was virulent disease caused by nanoworm that bit your face, causing a permanent red mark, and if others touched the victim or touched something that had been touched before 3 seconds had passed, they would be infected as well. Frankly, I was dying to see what that kid looked like. When I got to the other side, I was astounded. I had never seen that many students sitting around and cheering about something. I squeezed my way into the center of the circle, but the public was nowhere to be found. All I saw were the back of 2 or 3 tall guys dressed in our school uniform. They all seemed to be pointing and talking to something on the floor. Even though I didn't quite get what they were saying, I could not quite see who or what they were talking to. My assumption was the plague. Then I saw the most out of all the spectators were lagging, so I like went them, as if the thing the tall guy was saying were amusing in some way. After a while, I actually started to enjoy myself. Gradually, the guy at the back started moving aside. My heart beat rapidly as I stretched out my neck for a better view of the inner cycle. I was actually expecting to see monster-looking plague or perhaps the clone of Frankenstein or something. But to my surprise, he was just a normal boy. He might not have been the most tired person I have seen. He may have he may have glasses that were way too big for his face. He also may have a bird made that covered up little less than one third of his face. But to me, he was just a normal human being who deserved to be treated like one. The summer gradually vanished from my face. It was then that I realized that this was not game. This was not something funny. This was bullying. For a moment, there were just way too many thoughts and it just going through my mind. I was just overwhelmed. I remember thinking and asking myself questions like, should I go in or help him? Should I at least stop it and tell an adult? But instead of following my heart and doing what was right, I froze. I froze like a statue, too shocked to even blink. The shouting notes seemed to have faded into the background. I seemed to have faded in my own work. I regretted that I ever looked at them. The feeling of complete melancholy, the feeling of downright regret and hatred, the feeling of resentment made an alliance and long over me. I feel like I was gagging on salty water, but too afraid and too bashful to use my arm I like to swim to the surface. He must have noticed me, for he looked up at me with all the strength he had left. He was bruised all over his face for about 10 seconds. He looked at me and looked at him. He then muttered the word, "Help me, please." Instead of standing up for him, I backed down. I walked backward further and further back until I stumbled and fell out the circle of the spectator. I looked in his direction until the gap in the crowd started to fill in. Then I walked away, fighting back tears. I wanted to march out and tell the aggressors and the spectator that what they had done was inhuman. I wanted to tell everybody that they did not have the right to pick on a boy one third of their size. They did not have the right to tell a boy that he wasn't beautiful just because of the subtle birthmark on his face. I want to tell them that they were the definition of ignorance and failure. I want to tell them that what they were doing was wrong. But instead, I walked away and let the victim down. 3 years have passed since the accident. A lot has changed happened, but strangely, that scan is clear and conscious in my mind as it was then. The regret and the pain sting just as much as is. Then the accident has become scar that has formed on my heart and never seemed to heal. It's like a curse that can never be broke. Albeit that has forgotten had me for what I have done. I have hate myself for not speaking up, but I know that it's too late now. I have already lost chance to be brave and to be myself. So with this opportunity, I want to show you that everybody that sometimes the thing you see about me are only the thing I reveal. The thing you think you know about me are only the thing I let you know about. There's much more of me that I haven't lived, of which you have absolutely no idea. Perhaps the reason that people are afraid to reveal their true individuals is that they may think their thoughts are too bitter, unlikable, unique, and different. I'm a great example of that. I could have followed my heart and stood up for the boy, but instead I went with the flow and didn't help a person in need. I hope that people will learn from my experience and stop filtering their own unique coffee bean just to grow with the flow. Please always be the person that you really are. I want to tell everyone that it's okay to be a go upstream. You don't always have to end up in the same position as others. And that's what makes this world wonderful. I'm going to close my presentation with quote, "You have enemies, good. That means you are stoned up for something, sometime in your life." Winston Churchill. I appreciate your attention. Thank you.